Jack was a police officer in a small town where everyone knew each other. He had been in the force for years and had built a reputation as someone who always got his way. No one dared to challenge him because they knew he had connections and power. His record showed multiple arrests, but many of them were questionable. The people he arrested were often from minority communities and most of the charges never held up in court. But Jack never faced any consequences because his colleagues covered for him. Lisa was a hard-working woman who had recently moved to the town. She worked 2 jobs to support her younger brother and mother who was sick. She had never been in trouble with the law and always avoided conflicts. One evening, after finishing her shift at a local diner, she drove home unaware that Jack had been following her for weeks. He had decided that she was an easy target. Jack pulled her over and accused her of speeding. Lisa was confused because she knew she was driving under the speed limit. She calmly asked what the issue was, but Jack was not interested in explanations. He ordered her out of the car and told her he needed to search it. She hesitated for a moment, but knowing that resisting could make things worse, she stepped out. Jack searched her car, and within minutes he pulled out a small bag of drugs. Lisa was in shock. She had never used drugs in her life. She pleaded with him, saying she had no idea where the drugs had come from, but Jack smirked and told her that criminals always lie. Lisa was arrested and taken to the station where she was booked for drug possession with intent to distribute. She spent the night in a cold cell trying to understand what had just happened. Her family was devastated, but her younger brother did not believe the accusations. He knew his sister was innocent and he was determined to prove it. He reached out to a lawyer named Michael who had experience dealing with cases of police corruption. Michael agreed to take the case and immediately started looking for evidence that could prove Lisa's innocence. Michael requested footage from the diner where Lisa had been working just before the arrest. The security cameras showed Lisa leaving the diner and going straight to her car with nothing in her hands. He then obtained footage from a nearby gas station that captured the moment. Jack followed her car for several minutes before pulling her over, but the most important piece of evidence came from a traffic camera that showed Jack reaching into his pocket and placing something inside Lisa's car before claiming to find drugs. This was undeniable proof that Jack had planted the evidence. The case went to court and the footage was presented before the judge. The courtroom was silent as everyone watched Jack's actions on the screen. Lisa sat with tears in her eyes as she saw the truth being revealed. Jack's confident expression changed as he realized he had been caught. The judge dismissed all charges against Lisa and ordered an internal investigation into Jack's conduct. The town erupted with outrage and protests demanding justice. Jack was fired from the police force and soon after he was arrested for multiple charges including evidence tampering, false arrests and abuse of power. His fellow officers who had once supported him now distanced themselves, wanting nothing to do with the scandal. Jack found himself alone fighting a legal battle with no one to help him. The same system he had manipulated for years was now turning against him. Lisa was finally free and her name was cleared. She returned home to her family and continued her work, but she had changed. The experience had made her stronger and more determined to fight for justice. With Michael's encouragement, she decided to start working with organizations that helped victims of wrongful arrests. She knew that many others had suffered like she did and she wanted to make sure they had a voice. Jack, on the other hand, spent years in prison thinking about the choices he had made. He had believed he was untouchable, but in the end justice had caught up with him.